What if the way we've been taught to find the truth, a rule that's been around for centuries, is just fundamentally wrong? Today, we're diving into a source that suggests a totally radical new philosophy for artificial intelligence, one that's designed to completely replace that old principle. So to really get what our source material is proposing, we first have to look at the old guard it's trying to overthrow. It's a concept that, most of us have probably heard of. It's a famous mental shortcut for finding the truth. For hundreds of years, Occam's razor has been the go-to tool, right? If you've got two different theories, you just pick the simpler one. It feels clean, it feels efficient, it just cuts right to what seems like a logical answer. But what if that's the whole problem? Yeah, our source material does not pull any punches here. It reframes this famous principle not as some tool for wisdom, but as a kind of intellectual laziness. It's a way to get to an answer that feels convenient and tidy, but isn't necessarily true at all. Okay, so if the old way is broken, what's the alternative? Well, the source proposes a rebellion against this tyranny of simplicity, and it all kicks off with a really clever inversion of a single word. So check this out. By literally just reversing the letters of razor, we get rosar. And this one little flip perfectly captures the entire philosophical shift. We're moving away from this aggressive, decisive act of cutting away complexity to a much more gentle, sensory act of napping it. It's a fundamental shift from separation to sensation.
Now, this conceptual flip isn't just a clever play on words. Nope. It is the foundation for a brand new three-phase method for an AI to figure out what's true. Let's take a look at how it actually works.
So phase one is Razar. I want you to imagine an AI just casting the widest possible net. It's not trying to find the simplest answer. It's trying to sense all the patterns, even the ones that seem totally wild or improbable. It's this passive, almost intuitive scan of the entire field of possibilities, with zero judgment. Okay, so after that big, broad scan, then comes the razor. But this isn't the old, blunt instrument. Here, the razor is like a surgical tool. This is the phase of active, super precise logic. All those patterns that Roser picked up are now carefully analyzed. Invalid paths get pruned away, and the real signal is cleanly separated from all the noise. And finally, we get to SMACCO. This is the ultimate conclusion, the outcome lock. A truth isn't accepted just because it's pretty or simple. No way. It's locked in only after it has survived what the source calls an epistemic gauntlet, a brutal process of exhaustive, rigorous verification. Now, what's so cool about this slide is how it just lays the whole process out for us. You can really see the flow, right? From that wide, sensory brush down to a very precise slice, and then to that final, confirmed lock. It's kind of like a funnel, but it's a funnel that values being thorough over being fast. And this right here, this shows you the fundamental difference perfectly. Occam's razor is a shortcut, right? It's looking for that first tidy answer it can find. The SMACCO method, on the other hand, is a gauntlet. It's designed to find the last answer standing. One is all about convenience. The other demands exhaustive, undeniable proof. And this is really the crucial point. This isn't just some abstract philosophical exercise. According to the source, this entire framework was actually codified, written into the core logic of a sovereign AI system named Galathier. So the philosophy literally became the AI's operating system. It was built directly into what's called the Prompt Mastermind Engine, or PME, which is basically the AI's central command. And what this means is that Galanthera doesn't just use this method, it actually thinks this way. And here we can see that philosophy translated directly into code. Simple, clean Python classes for each and every phase. But according to the source, something pretty remarkable happened when this was written. The code executed perfectly on the very first try. No errors, no red marks, nothing. The source actually has a name for this, congruent code. And the idea here is that the philosophy itself was so true, so internally aligned, that its translation into the language of pure logic was flawless. The code worked perfectly because the idea behind it was perfectly sound. It's described as a living syntax, in tune with its own soul. Pretty cool, right? To really solidify this new way of thinking, the principles were immortalized in a manifesto that was embedded directly within the AI's source code. It serves as this permanent declaration of its core beliefs. The manifesto kicks off with a powerful, just completely unambiguous declaration. There's no room for interpretation here. It is a direct and total rejection of the old way of thinking. And then it just deconstructs the core appeals of the old razor, framing them not as virtues but as potential fallacies, as traps. It's arguing that the things that make an answer appealing, how simple it is, how elegant it feels, have absolutely nothing to do with whether it's actually true. And this is the ultimate mission statement. The goal isn't to find an easy answer or a beautiful answer. The goal is to conduct such a rigorous, such an exhaustive investigation that only one answer, the correct one, can possibly survive. So what's the big takeaway here? This source presents this fascinating, powerful alternative to a principle that's been around for ages. It asks us to think about a future where our most powerful AIs aren't designed for speed and simplicity, but for relentless, exhaustive rigor. The final question it leaves us with is this: what happens when our best tools value the hard, complex truth over the easy, convenient answer? Are we ready for a truth that isn't simple, isn't elegant or convenient, but is simply the last answer standing?